Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. How are you? Welcome to the studio. Let me just get a check here and make sure that everybody can hear me. And we'll get started. Can you see me? Can you hear me? So just go ahead and enter into the chat. Looks like we've got a few people here this morning. That's good. The cat is watching too, says Therese. Fantastic. So we might have a little bit of a delay, maybe a 30-second delay, just with the live stream. Morning, excellent. Okay, I've got some people. Just, enter the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. That'd be great. Okay, excellent. Good morning. Yeah, so just give me a sound check, people. Let me know if you can hear me. Brilliant, and I'll get going once I get confirmation. I just need a few more people, if you don't mind. And sorry for the people watching the replay. Cheers. Nothing like it. That's the best medium when you're painting in oils. That's the medium that you need. Double espresso. Am I right? All right, guys. So I'm just going to assume that people can hear me, even though I'm not getting a confirmation in the live chat. Now, if you're watching the replay of this live stream here, I just want to let you know a couple of things, because this happens every... great. Okay, stream is buffering a little, but we can see and hear you. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, great. I'm getting confirmation now. Excellent. Every time I post one of these live streams and people are watching the replay, so if you are watching the replay, if you're here live, you'll know it, but chances are you'll be watching this replay. Don't enter the Patreon chat as if it's the live chat. Everybody always seems to do that, and it just blows up the comment section on the replay of this thing. So just keep an eye out for the posts if you want to join live in the future. I am still working out the technical side of things. I'm not a techie at all. I'm trying, but I've got to work out the technical side of things to save the live chat, so I'm working on that. All right, so welcome. Pleasure to have your company here. I really want to be doing these live streams every couple of weeks for you guys here, my ACAD homies. And thanks so much for joining me here on the Academy, the Tish Academy. I love calling it that. It's the name's sticking. I don't care what people say. So, oh, Andrew, get over yourself. No, Tish Academy. I always wanted my own art school. Now we got it. So welcome. It's great to have you here. All right, let me explain what we're doing today. I'm just full of beans after this latest plein air trip. I got back only a few days ago. And I have this, and a bit of a photographic reference. I'm just going to be using the one reference for today's painting, but of course I'm going to be applying changes out the wazoo. The exposure's off, underexposed in the shadows, overexposed in the highlights. I don't care. We're going to fix it in post on a panel. So I'm working on an 8x10 linen panel. Did you catch the video about making the linen panels? Did you catch that? So this is one of my homemade linen panels. Absolutely love working on these things. They're not the best panels that money can buy, but it's the best of what I can produce in the studio. And I got to balance things, as I explained in that video. I got to balance, the practicality with cost effectiveness, but also making a really huge run of these things. And I ended up making about 80 of these panels. Now, can y'all just appreciate for a second how much better the audio is? I think I'm coming through a lot better. I've got my Shure SM7B now fully rigged up with some extra gear, a Focusrite 2i2 and a cloud lifter. That might not mean anything to you, but if you know about sound, that might. Finally got the voiceovers and the audio set up for these live streams, but as well as the other videos. So I'm stoked. I am stoked. Okay, I'll explain what we're doing here. So again, I'll post in the replay of this the reference that I'm using. I might even give y'all a bit of a reference pack, which would be good fun. So here I've got a very limited palette. I don't need to go too crazy with my palette here with the initial block in of a little 8x10 sketch. This is just gonna be an oil sketch. We'll see how far we get in this live stream. Of course, I always have so much fun hanging out with you and answering your questions and chatting with you that, the painting is a little bit slower. But that's all right. Hey, we're here. That's the main thing. So if you've got a question, I'll do my best to get to your question, but just bear in mind as well that while I'm painting, I've got that screen next to me. I don't have an MC. It's just me and you here in the studio. So it might take me just a little while to get to it. So even if you have to ask the question 2 or 3 times, I'll try my best to catch that in the live. But if not, Jim Meeker, I love that. Do you even Tish Academy, bro? Fantastic. See, I'm glancing across at the screen. Okay, audio is amazing. Penny Cash, thank you so much. Sounding great. Ollie, thank you. Oh, fantastic. Virginia, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, we got about a 1.5 minute delay, it looks like. But that's okay. We're going to press on. My internet here in New Zealand runs on potatoes. Okay. We're not going to talk a great deal about composition. I'm just going to get stuck into it. And we're just gonna get going. So I've mixed up a little bit of burnt umber, as you can see. Let me explain what's on my palette. Of course, details. Let's just slow down for a second, Tish. All right, you're getting too excited, bro. All right, Liquid Original, panel, explained it. Watch the video. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Burnt umber, transparent yellow oxide. Now I'm going very light on the earth tones. Again, limiting the palette somewhat. I mean, we could limit it further. We could go crazy and just go the yellow, red, and blue, but we gotta get a little bit of variety in there. Okay, so burnt umber, transparent yellow oxide. This is a really versatile color. It looks so similar to the umber, doesn't it, on the screen? It looks very dark brown, but that is like a dye. It's a stain or a tint, perfect for mixing with these whites. 2 whites. So I haven't mixed those together with my normal 50-50 combo, but I got my Crimnit, I got my titanium, all right? Now, then we got Hansa yellow this time. Nice, warm, punchy yellow, but semi-opaque or semi-transparent. I forget which one. I'll have to check Eric Silver's website for this. All Blue Ridge handmade oil colors. Shout out to my lad, Eric Silver. Such a dude. He makes the best paint, in my opinion. Anyway, Permanent Crimson, Ultramarine Blue, Cobalt Teal, and Phthalo Green Blue Shade. Now, there's 2 different Phthalo Greens, by the way. I might talk about this more later. It's very subtle, the difference. I'm a big fan of the blue shade, but he also has a red shade for Phthalo Green. So just interesting little difference there with the greens. Now I should be able to do just about everything I want to do in this session with this. So we're going to just start by just mixing up a little something here on the end of a Eclipse long filbert. I need to double check that name because keep thinking I get the Shiraz, Evergreen, and Eclipse mixed up. But Eclipse, this is one of my favorite filbert brushes, by the way, from Rosemary & Co. And just for sketching in, but also it's just beautiful for delicate mark making, great for portraits, great for some fine landscape work. But often I find myself sketching in the landscape with one of these. And I was working a heck of a lot plein air. That plein air video is due to come out today, Lord willing. I really hope it's coming out today. We've had a couple of technical issues with the edit and a few things going on here behind the scenes, but it should be coming out today. But you'll see me use this a bunch to sketch in the scene. So that's what I'm doing, a mixture of burnt umber, permanent crimson, and what else have I got there? A little bit of Crimnit's white and some ultramarine blue. And it's kind of like a rusty maroony color, and I'm just following along from my reference with my big shapes, and I'm just thinking a little bit about my composition, but I'm going to be making one change. I'll talk to you about that as I go. Now, while I'm sketching this in and trying to calm down a little bit, sounds good to hear. Okay, great. About 2 milliliters of Italian linen, says Therese. So definitely going to make some of those panels. Excellent. That's fantastic. Why do you prefer linen to canvas to MDF boards? My goodness, Deborah, do not use MDF, please, unless you're going to cover that with like 17 coats of gesso or something. MDF is not archival. It is hungry for moisture, and it will suck it right out of the atmosphere, and it will expand, contract. And so as it's going through that action, what ends up happening is you could end up with cracks in your painting if it's not prepared properly, but it's nasty. It starts bubbling at the edges over time. And if ever water did get to it, like flood damage or whatever, or even just moisture in the house, or let's say your roof started leaking. I mean, things happen. You might, at some point, water might come in contact with it. MDF is just not the stuff to be using. So I would much prefer, if you're going to go for a cheaper alternative, like a particle board or something like that, then Masonite is not a bad alternative, but even that has its drawbacks. I have used Masonite if I'm putting linen over the top, But I know of artists that will just paint straight on a primed MDF board, and dude, that makes me cringe so hard. Like it's just nasty stuff. Obviously, don't want to call anybody out. You might know of a few big artists that do that. No disrespect to them, but there are much more archival ways that you could do it. Now, I'm not saying that the way I produce these boards is the most archival, because some people might take issue with the use of PVA glue, or the type of wood that I'm using, or the Zenzur or the spray paint that I put on the back of the board. But it has worked for me, and it does hold up over time. I stand by it. I'm just showing you what I use, but at the very least, you want to be using something that's a bit more stable than MDF. Yeah, sorry, don't mean to sound harsh, but Deborah, yeah, don't use the MDF. If you've got paintings on MDF, don't freak out. Finish them up. It's all good. But just from now on, start making those incremental improvements in your materials. It'll be a lot better. Okay, feeling my way along. This is just, I'm sketching. I know, hey, don't tell anybody. Please don't tell anybody. It's our little secret. I have not done a thumbnail sketch. I know what you think. Andrew, how could you? Well, I just kind of, I'm full of beans. I want to paint a little something, all right? Give me a break. So I'm just feeling my way along, thinking about my lines, thinking about flow in the landscape. I want this top of the landscape to go away in a mess of brushwork. I think I need a little more breathing room away from that palette there, fella. There we go. How's that? That's much better. You can still see it? Cool. I almost thought you were sketching a cow there. Yeah, dude, I've been... Marzino, great. Marzino, I'm seeing cows in my... I don't count sheep, I count cows. It's seeing cows even in my dreams. The cows are coming home. They're starting to form a nice little herd, and the idea will be seen through to the finish. And I will be sharing that with you. But some of these might be a little bit of a slower burn than I thought, and by that I just mean a little bit of a. I'll just refresh your mind as well with what I'm doing here. Again, I'm working with this little bit of reference here. So I love the flow through here. Just a nice little S-curve coming from the top. I might emphasize that S-curve a little bit, actually, but from the top of that scene. Yeah, so some of these ideas, I'm going to start just slowing down a little bit, play the long game, and just share that process with you continually here on Patreon at the Academy, right? We'll stop calling it Patreon now. Let's just keep calling it the Academy. I'm loving that. But yeah, it's fun. I really want to paint more this year and draw more this year, and that's been my focus is creativity and just production, studio production. So the first thing I want to do here is just, let me check my battery life. Yep, good. First thing I want to do here is get some darks in there. Let's start playing a little bit more with this underpainting idea, hey? We'll go from that background with our darks, start working our way forward, start thinking about tonal values. Now, come on, you playing the home game here. What do we do with our tonal values over a distance? In the distance, they're lighter, right? Good, top marks. And in the foreground, they get darker, right? Excellent, excellent. I knew you were paying attention. So I'm going to mix up just a little bit of a muted gray color, still using that Krimnitz white. I just want to go for something kind of neutral here and just start blocking in a couple of little dark marks here and start working around my my shapes. And we'll start to sew this thing up as we go. Now I'm using a slightly bigger Eclipse filbert here. I might even get out a Tish dagger here at some point. That'd be cool. Now, a few people have been hitting me up about the storms, cyclones, flooding, all that stuff that's happening here in New Zealand. Yeah, there's some pretty devastating weather events that are going on at the moment, and it's really disrupting and affecting people's lives. Fortunately for us, I feel bad to say this, but we're okay. You know, that and I'm grateful for that our family's well out of the way and safe, and we haven't really been affected by it at all. But my heart really does go out to those people that have been affected by that. And I've got to give Freeman White a call because I know he's up in Napier, and Napier just got slammed recently. So for those of you reaching out to me, just asking, hey, are you doing okay with all this stuff going on? If you heard about anything in the news, some of this made international news. I'm okay. We're all good. About the worst thing that's happened has been that my Rachel's mum and dad, I call them mum and dad, but Rachel's parents. Is that better? Is that less glare? Let me shift this because I need to fix the focus here. Rachel's mum and dad, their ferry for the inter-islander crossing. New Zealand is separate. It's two islands, North Island and South Island. We're at the top of the South Island. They live at the bottom of the North Island. It's just a short little boat ride. It's not bad, but the engine on the ferry broke down, and they're waiting on another part. And they're not going to be able to get out of here for another month. They were due to leave this morning. Now that we just found out they're going to be with us for another month. Good thing we all get along really well. I didn't actually want them to leave. I love them to bits. It's, obviously Rachel does too. They're her parents, but we get along so well. So, yeah, they've just like, right, well, we're sticking around. So that's about the worst that's happened to us. But for people just sending their messages, really appreciate your concern, but nothing to worry about here. But go ahead and flick Freeman a message and see how he's doing. I might give him a call in the next couple of days and make sure he's all right, But anyway, moving on. Was watching your waterfall part 2. How do you change the lighting and the color coordination across your references? Grant. Okay. Oh, thanks for that, Grant. Yeah. I do like your handle name though, Grant. How do I change the lighting and color coordination across your references? Grant, I think that comes down to design in the beginning. Your references are going to be all over the place in terms of exposure, especially if you do what I do. Like I am no photographer, okay? I go out to the field to get reference for painting. I am not printing my photographs. I don't care about getting the best looking photographs. So my goal, like when I'm out there, is to just get the information. And if you could see me photograph stuff, like you'd see my camera going off like it was a Geiger counter, right? And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's something that checks for radiation. So every time that gets pinged by a radioactive particle, it lets a little click go. And so you'll hear a Geiger counter when it comes up against something radioactive going like that. Yeah. That's what my camera sounds like with the shutter going off. It's just going and I'm just getting as much stuff as I can. So in order for me to do that, I just shoot full auto. And consequently, you get shadows that are dropped out and you get highlights that are burned out. And it is what it is. So you have to reinterpret this back in the studio when you're designing this thing. But that's one of the benefits of painting plein air. And what I hope to get across in the video that's coming out today is just making sure that you work from observation as much as possible, because that's going to inform so much about your painting process. You'll be able to, your recall is going to get so good the more you work from observation. Whether it's still life in the studio, that's fine. Or getting outside to paint plein air, which is just so much fun. At first, not gonna lie, at first it can be a little bit stressful, but after a while you do get addicted to it. Once I went out for the first couple of times with my buddy Sam Earp, he was just in his element, and then he just got hooked, and now he can't let go. He's mad keen about his plein air painting. He's all about it. It's inspiring, but I bet the ratio of plein air to studio painting for Sam is going to be something like, it's probably going to be 75% plein air. I don't know. He'll probably correct me on that one, but yeah, I think he's out far more than he's in the studio, which is cool. So it can get quite addictive, and I've been gearing up with all my filming equipment and the plein air equipment as well. Just getting better at it, getting better at packing my kit, just make it a little bit more comfortable out there. But yeah, looking forward to sharing that with you. But again, Grant, to answer your question, how do you get coordination across those? Well, that's something you have to do in post. After. in the studio, in the design suite, whether that's your digital design process, if you're into that. I love that. I'm all about it. Or in the sketchbook, which I love too. So I hope that answers that one. Is that a wait for the part? Marzino, there's part 3 coming out in the next few, well, March anyway. Let me put it that way. I need to check the schedule. I don't have it in front of me. But this March, part 3, the final part for Kimberly Waterfalls coming out. But I got a plein air video coming out today to share with you. Very excited about that. And that's from this trip that we just took. And that's the beauty of having good help. You know, shout out again to Olivia. I hope you guys have been enjoying her videos. She has been really helping me with the editing side of things. A little bit of phthalo green, by the way, a little bit of permanent crimson in with a bit of burnt umber makes a very dark tone indeed. Let's start knocking in a few of these darker tones down here. Just getting some of the depth of tone in and around some of these rocks. Right. Yeah, Sam's pretty good, isn't he? Fi says he loves Sam's paintings. So at this stage, this is going to be starting off pretty messy and then getting tighter as we go. I almost sound slightly apologetic about that. Like, oh, sorry, it's so messy. But you know what? This kind of reminds me of something that when I first started, I wasn't really familiar with the painting process. Of course, how can you be when you're just starting out and you expect and you think that everything's going to look finished and resolved right away. And that's rarely the way that this happens. It just doesn't work that way. But you don't have that perspective when you're first starting out. So consequently, you can get frustrated really quickly and lose interest with the process and maybe give up a little bit too soon. And for me, it took some time to just learn to relax into the process and realize that it's going to get messy first. And then you just start tightening it up as you go. And that taking the time is a critical element. Taking time with what you're working on, that really helps. So if you ever get disillusioned with the process, you ever feel like you're like, it's just not clicking, stick with it. Honestly, stick with it. And you'll be surprised. Just putting in a little bit of time, it'll get better. Bit of burnt umber, bit of ultramarine blue, trusty combination. Lift that tone out with a bit of Cremnitz white. Still haven't touched the titanium white. I might not until the very end, but I'm just working on some of the jaggedness of this rock here. Loving this Eclipse filbert, by the way. It's fun to work with. Now, the trick to getting your paint to cover and get that opacity is just having plenty of paint on the end of the brush and continuing to apply paint, brushstroke after brushstroke. So I've got some dark tone in there for that rock. I might come back and sew that up in a little bit. Tighten that up. I love this I love dappled light subjects. They're so much fun. And this is really cool. Like once it goes dry and you work back into it, you can start to really play up that light. So we get a little bit of dark tone there, secondary waterfall there, but I might even bleed and blur that out over on the edge. So Louisa has got a comment here. I spend a lot of time erasing as I draw when working with pencils. Hang on, sip of coffee. Eventually I end up with a sketch I like, but at the beginning it's always rough for me. Yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts on aluminum panels? I haven't used them. There was an artist ages ago that I was going to line up for an interview, and it never made it happen. Aaron Nagel, I think his name is. And he swears by a product called Dye Bond, and he put out a great YouTube tutorial on how he prepares Dye Bond panels. I understand that it's very stable, very archival. You know, there's very little that's going to happen to an aluminum panel. So I think working on your metals is really a safe bet. It's straight, it's lightweight, it can be incredibly thin. It might be cost effective if you can buy enough of it at a time. Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. I personally, though, I'm just going to say, just personally, there's no particular reason besides I like it. I love making panels the way I make them. I like really connecting with it. I like a long, drawn out project. I like to work. So I like working with the wood. I like cutting it. I like the smell of it. Everything about it. I love it. I really get into it. But yeah, maybe there are better things to use or maybe more practical things to use. But, I balance all of those factors, the practicality, the cost effectiveness, what I'm able to do here in the studio. Experience as well just plays a part in it. I know what this is going to do. So that's why I kind of stick with my particular process. But yeah, I've heard great things about dye bond, which is that I think it's honeycomb aluminum. I think even Ron Beaton was, and shout out to Ron. He always leaves such thoughtful comments on the videos on Patreon, and I think he was saying something about a honeycomb aluminum panel. But correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, if you're watching this. But he even had a few pointers on tweaking the process that I use, which I might do the next time I go ahead and construct my panels. I get so much from you as well. I gotta say, like from the comments, from just you sharing your personal stories, from what you're uploading to the Facebook page, I get so much from interacting with you. You got to know that this really is a two-way street. So I want to thank you for that. I learn a lot from folks just with the odd little thing. Oh, well, I do this. So I've tried this and this works great. And have you ever heard of this kind of paper or this kind of pencil or this, this combination or this or that? That's cool, man. Art's a conversation. And one thing I hope you've worked out about me already, and if you haven't yet, then newsflash, Tish doesn't have it all figured out. I'm very much a work in progress, and I always want to be a student. When you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you're up. And I want to continue to grow. That's where the fun is, by the way. I think that's where the most meaning and joy in the artistic process is in growing, is in learning. Anyway, I'm just BSing now. How we doing? Hey, John P's here in the house. Hey, John. John made it to the party. Here he is. Excellent. How large does the painting have to be when you switch from panels to stretch canvas? That is a fantastic question. So at a certain point, the panels do start to warp, again, depending on what you're painting on. So for me, I generally will not go above a 20 by 24 if it's reinforced on the back. Now, 11 by 14 is fine without reinforcing. And by reinforcing, I just mean it's got struts on the back side with maybe a crossbar on it. And I'll make that pretty carefully to make sure it's flat all the way across. But yeah, it's any bigger than 11 by 14, it'll need reinforcing. Any bigger than 20 by 24, let's say a 20 by 30, I'll immediately go to a stretched linen. That also comes down to shipping. It's far easier for me to ship a larger painting to a client when I can roll it up, but it's also safer for the painting, and then I just tell them, hey, look, take this straight to the picture framer, go and pick out the frame you like. They'll know what to do. They'll stretch it up for you. And that's kind of how I've been doing it. It seems to work. But I imagine you could get quite large without any reinforcing if you're using one of these materials like dye bond or honeycomb aluminum. I'm excited about the copper, though. Speaking of the metal, I'm so excited about the copper and these panels from Ray Aslan. I've got a few right here that are ready to go. He said he sent me some more, so I'm looking forward to working on those. And some of the designs coming out are really cool. The only issue with those, sorry, Ray. But the only issue with those is they are heavy, so they're a bit more expensive to ship. But my goodness, what a joy to work on. Just phenomenal. So again, I'm just getting in some of my darker tones. Let me refresh your memory here just about what I'm working on. I'll get this reference out, just show you here. Just knocking in some of those darks. There's my reference right there. Again, you can see here, you know, back to what Grant was saying. Look at those highlights. They're just gone. They're totally gone. So I wouldn't paint it like that. And look at those shadows. There's nothing there. It's just blackness. So there's very little in here that's exposed right. But hey, whatever. We got most of the information down, the linear aspect anyway of the landscape. And even then, I'm making some changes. Just having fun, slinging some paint. That's what it's about, right? Right? Yeah. I'm just gonna imagine you're agreeing with me right now. Can you hear that rain coming through? So that's the kind of the tail end of the cyclone that's passing through, and it is dumping on us right now. Just loads of rain. But we're free from most of the effects of the strong winds and flooding. But yeah, just found out my roof leaks too. And the worst leaks are in the studio still. Do you remember that studio tour video that I put out way back at the start of last year? I put it out on YouTube. And I fixed the leaks in the roof. Yeah, didn't fix them. Apparently the flashing's gone. It looks like Swiss cheese. So I've got a roofing guy coming out next week, and we're going to be replacing huge sections of the roof. So hopefully I don't have to worry every time it rains. But right now I've got a bucket under a hole in my studio ceiling. So it's nice to be up here in the drawing room. All right, Sue's here. Hey, Sue, how are you? My MDF panels are prepped on all sides and edges with 2 coats of Zinsser. Aye, how good's that Zinsser? Seal and prime, and then 3 coats of gesso. Often use linen fabric to, okay. Cool, yeah. You gotta glue that fabric to that. Can't afford the expensive alternatives. Hey, fair enough, Sue. Fair enough. But as you can, I just recommend that people move away from that MDF if possible. But Sue, it sounds like you're going about it the right way. You're sealing it in there. You know, it's a reasonably solid substrate if you can get it totally sealed. My only issue is if you drop it on a corner or something happens and it gets dinged or whatever, then that can be a little bit of an issue. But it sounds like you're going about it the right way. If money is an issue, you know, then and you can go for, you know, some of the cheaper alternatives, do it. At the end of the day, I'd much prefer you paint than get too bogged down in this stuff. But no worries. Okay. G'day, Diane. Diane's here. Hey, better late than never. Andrew, have you ever used water-based oils? Rich, I get this question all the time. And yes, I have once for a demo when I used to work at an art retail store. I used to work at a little store down in Kearns Crescent and Applecross in Perth way back in the day. This is going back to 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. I didn't last very long. I got fired with everybody. I don't think I got fired. I just think I got asked not to come back ever again. I can't. Is that getting fired? Is that what they call that? I had a terrible attitude. Anyway, Jackson's Drawing Supplies was what it was called. Yeah, they said, hey, can you just do a little demo of the H2 oils, it was called? And I'm like, sure. And I think they still have that demo hanging up in the shop. Last time I was there, like maybe about 5 years ago, they still had it there above their display. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, it's a Tischler. Oh, it's funny. Good times. Anyway, but no, I've had that question a bunch, and no, I have not used them in any professional capacity. No, I understand that people really like them and rate them highly. I'm hooked on my Blue Ridge, and there's so many things out there to try, and I'm really having to balance out my curiosity about some of these materials and just practically what I can fit in. So I prefer to leave that experimentation open with my subject matter and just keep playing with different subjects rather than continually shifting between materials. So just personally, I'm finding that I'm really enjoying the journey with drawing and then balancing that out with painting. But in terms of trying different kinds of mediums, yeah, I'll probably try watercolor and get into that before I do water mixable oils. Gouache, anyway. Sam inspired me, Samuel Earp, and I went and got myself a set of gouache. But it's been sitting there for a year, and I still haven't done anything with it. So too busy with the oils, man. But still, it's a good question. But one I do get a bunch, so maybe I should do something with it. What didn't I like about them? No, it's not a question of not liking them. No. It's just preference for oil. Yeah. So sorry if I said that, I misspoke. No, it's not that I don't like them. It's just that I'm just stuck on my Blue Ridge, and I mean that in the best possible way. I love these things. So now I'm just going to start getting out a bit of color and just start working my way around. I'm playing, man. I'm just slinging paint. So I hope this year is shaping up for you. I really hope it is. I hope you're getting more creative. I hope you're doing more art. I hope you're giving yourself permission to be more creative. I hope you're putting in that time. If you're not, no worries. I don't want you to feel bad about that. You don't need to beat yourself up about it, but just use today as another opportunity to just get stuck into it. And whenever I say stuck in, by the way, maybe that's the Aussie coming out. I spent like 25 years in Australia, and they were always saying that, let's get stuck in, mate. Yeah, beauty. So yeah, today's another opportunity to just really get into it. But I find that people often, and I've fallen into this as well, you keep waiting to start. Just waiting for the conditions to line up just right, just so you can give yourself permission to just move, to do something. But often the conditions don't line up. So start where you stand. But I really hope this year's shaping up, and I hope the content is helping. I hope at the very least it's entertaining, inspiring, and informative. But as always, I love to hear your feedback. And can I just say, thank you so much for all of the comments and messages that you send me on pretty much every video I've put out this year. I've just gotten loads of really amazing comments. So thank you so much for that. It's just such a pleasure to be sharing this space with you. I'm really grateful for you, and I just appreciate you so much. And thanks for being here, sharing this with me. It's awesome. Really, I feel like I'm sharing, studio time with you. Like, here I am in your studio, sharing you're letting me into your life. I'm getting to share this studio space with you. That's cool. Thank you. All right. An old art teacher told me watercolor is for children. I said, well, I guess I'm a child then. Some art teachers say some crap, don't they? Don't they just come up? Art teachers are just people. You got to take what they say with a grain of salt. Except me. Take everything I say just as just fact. Just cold hard fact. No, I'm kidding. No, I hear some shockers, man. I'm probably getting the names mixed up. It was either Irene or Dana on about an art teacher that they were asked to guest teach a class. I'm sorry if I got the name wrong, but I remember that comment. They got asked to guest teach a class. They were a former student of this particular teacher, and then they started teaching the class in a method that was different from the art teacher, and apparently there was a massive issue with that. And there's so many different ways, and there's so many different mediums. And I've heard people say that about colored pencil. People, that's not real art. That's not a real medium. Shut up. That's what I tell those people. Shut up. I'm having fun. What's it to you? I just do what you want to do, man. Every way is valid. You can, and as long as you love it, it's about you. It's really about you. What do you love? Put it out there. Do it. I think we get so hung up on this image in our mind of what it's supposed to be like and if people are going to accept us or not. Who cares? Do what you got to do, you know? I interviewed a fantastic colored pencil artist, you know, and colored pencil artists probably get a lot of flack, but her name's Bethany Veer, Equine Art, and she does some fantastic stuff. And yeah, you know, she's probably received a whole bunch of criticism about drawing in colored pencil, but she loves it and she's happy. Awesome. That's all it's about. You got to create for you first and foremost. Oh, thank you, Louisa. Andrew, you have absolutely inspired me. Hit the drawing board and the easel multiple times a day and love the content. My kids and hubbies make fun of me because I'm going to hang with Andrew. Yeah, excellent. Well, hey, they'll be hanging with Andrew pretty soon. Get him a hat, Louisa. Got a few Tish hats left. Actually, I better watch what I'm saying. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm sold out. Cool. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Excuse me, just a quick drink of water. Yeah, so Deborah said, thanks for sharing with us and creating the Academy. So grateful to be here with all of you. Fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. So can you see what I'm mixing here? Is the mixing coming through on the screen? Maybe I could lighten my camera just a little bit. Can I adjust my ISO? Boom. That's a little better. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start getting into some of this shadow color of the water in the background. Let's get a little bit of a wiggle on. Time check, 10:42. Oh, cool. We're doing good on time. I don't want to fuss. I'm just telling myself, just sketch, man. Just sketch with the oils. Have fun with it. Get a bit loose. We can tighten up later. You know, if it doesn't turn out, no one's going to know. No one's watching you right now. It's all good. You know? It's not like you're putting it on the internet. Oh, wait. I love this orange flush coming through. I'm just for the next year, I'm just sticking with this color. So the imprimatur or the underpainting on my panel is burnt sienna mixed with burnt umber. And I just love it. It's so versatile with a lot of these colors, and it just adds this little pop of warmth, just a little something coming through. Bit of artistic license. I'll put a little bit of a cascade there at the top. It's going to be obscured by some rocks probably. I might give this one to Rachel actually. She's looking for something for a little 8x10 frame I've had hanging on the wall since we moved in. And in fact, that frame has not had anything in it at all for years. It's like this big, gaudy, gilded frame that I bought just because it was so ridiculous. I'm like, I wouldn't even know what to put in that, but I think a little waterfall would be just the ticket. And it can still be a surprise. I don't think she's watched my stuff for a while. She's too busy being a mum, which is great. So I might surprise her with this one. I like giving her paintings. It's fun. All right. Wish we could make up some Academy hats. Well, we can. Marzino, we can. That's not a bad idea. My dance card is punched though, man. Like I'm pretty full up on my time. So I don't know. I'm open to suggestions if somebody wants to put together a design. No guarantees that I'm going to print it though. Okay. But if somebody's got a great idea for a hat, I might get into making them again. But I really, dude, this year has already gotten busy. So did you get the newsletter that I sent out last night? Are people here subscribed to my mailing list where you get my newsletters and the YouTube videos 24 hours ahead of time? If not, just subscribe through my website. It's absolutely free. But when you're subscribed, you're going to have access to something that's coming out pretty soon, which is going to be absolutely massive. I'm writing it at the moment. It's somewhere between 50 and 100 pages. I don't know. Like already I'm up to page 40 and I'm not even halfway through. And it's basically an ebook companion for your studio, and just loaded with techniques and stuff. So I'm writing that right now. My subscribers through my website are going to get that. I will give you a heads up here though on Patreon, but you might, anyway, I'm all over the place. But what was I saying? The newsletter last night, I was talking about Sketch Endeavor and sharing a few other things, and I just completely lost my train of thought. I'm trying to tell you too many things at once. Well, how was I onto that? Well, let me just ask, did you get the newsletter last night? Yes, Marzina got the newsletter. Fantastic. Okay. It'll come to me, whatever I was talking about. It's live, and I don't know. The double espresso hasn't kicked in yet. Whatever. I'm sure you forget what you're going to say too. Doesn't happen to me often. Wow. Now I'm racking my brain now. What the heck was I talking about? Oh, whatever. I'm loving these blues. Hey, back to painting. Come on. Hey, back to painting. I want to keep the lightness well away from the edges. So I'm going to use a little bit of artistic license and bring in some of that color there. Some of that shadow color. So again, just working my way towards the lighter side of things. Epic. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Working on something epic. Okay. Yeah, Rich. No, nearly there. That was something I was going to talk about. Yep. Jim Meeker got his thing. Yep. Okay, let me riff on that, Rich. I'm not too sure what I was talking. I cannot remember what I was talking about. I'm nearly 40, and I think it's getting to me. Okay, what was I talking about? Epic. Yeah, anyway, look, I was working on an ebook. I'm working on some huge things at the moment, and this is actually going to be a little study for something that's coming out. I'm going to be doing several studies for what's coming out, but I want to tell you about it, but at the same time, I don't. I want to make you wait, but it's going to be so cool. But if you want to be the first to know about it, I mean, you're in the right spot right now as part of the Academy, but I will be sharing a bunch with my subscribers here, much more with my subscribers to my mailing list. And that's going to be really important for me, but may I suggest, if you're going into professional art in any capacity, whether you want to teach as well, create video content, or you just want to get in touch with your clients and collectors, may I suggest that email list is a really good place to focus. I've said from the beginning when I started my podcast, the health of your art business is measured in how many emails you can send out right now in just one hit of a button. How many emails can you send to your list on your private email list? Because at the end of the day, YouTube is going to change their algorithms. I can't measure. I'm having a really hard time. And again, I'm not a techie, so I just put out the best content I can. But I don't know if that video is going to get 17,000 views or 70,000 views or 700,000 views. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm finding it really difficult to measure. There are things I can do, from, the type of content to the thumbnail to the title. But at the end of the day, it's difficult to measure. But one thing I can measure is when I send out an email, I can pretty much guarantee how many people are going to open that email and read it, just based on some numbers that I've been running over the last 7 years. I'm starting to get to know that pretty well. So that's a good place to be, on my email list. And it sounds like a few of you are already on there. I'm 61, it gets worse, says Jim. No! Oh, dude. Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. Does coffee help, Jim? I find that the coffee helps. I might need to order me up another double espresso. I need some sort of bell system here in the studio where I hit the bell and it rings down next to that coffee machine. So anybody in earshot of that coffee machine would just be like, okay, yeah, time to get Andrew a coffee. You think I'm joking? I don't think no, I'm probably not. I need one for the downstairs studio and up here in the drawing room. A little coffee bell. Yeah, we're getting a little bit tired though. Maybe I'm going to put this down to sleepless nights. Last night, Hugo kept us up for most of the night, but man, he's growing so quick. So there's a few things on the family front, but he's growing up fast. He's going through so many changes and not quite talking yet, but he is running. He's on his feet. He's running for a 16-month-old, man. He's climbing, running, jumping, rolling around. He's an incredibly active little boy. But yeah, kept me and mum up last night. So I'm going to put my lack of words today down to a bit of sleeplessness, but I'm enjoying the painting. I hope you are too. So I'm just playing, pushing color around. There's not a lot of depth in this scene, which is something kind of interesting as a painting. It's more of an object study in a way, just focused on rocks and this water around the rocks. So composition is somewhat important. I've got a little bit of that S-curve there. We could probably accentuate that a little bit more by playing with the shapes of our rocks, but enjoying pushing this color around and just building the light into it. So I hope you can kind of see what's going on so far. I'm looking across at the screen and it looks a little bit chaotic, but hopefully you can pick up what I'm putting down. All right. Try 73, even worse. Oh, now we're getting into a competition, guys. Come on, settle down. I need a personal cafe cart. Yeah, art by Therese. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah, my wife will break it after one too many rings of that bell, says Louisa. Yeah, no. The day I install it, she's unplugging it. Listen, my wife married me. You think I come across as intense in my videos? Come on, spare a thought for my gorgeous wife, Rachel. She married me and she's had to put up with me for the last 14 years. And she's a saint. She's done it, with flying colors. But yeah, she doesn't put up with a lot out of me. Let me put it that way. She is my best buddy, though. We have a good time. So I'm going to mix up a nice neutral gray here and trying to just measure and feel my way around the palette. I just want to talk to you just a quick second about palette hygiene and brush hygiene. I've been painting with these brushes now for the last hour, okay? Can you pick up, let me hold it over the palette so you can kind of see. And again, the rain's coming through pretty heavy here, folks. But can you see these brushes here? Okay, just the 3 brushes out. I just got this one brush out now. I've only been painting with these 2 though. Again, all Eclipse filberts. Just loving these at the moment. The softness of the marks and also the opacity that I'm getting as I reload. But can you see also just the palette here? Again, chromatic order is really important. I've been getting emails from folks as well as seeing on the Tish Zone. I see photographs, all right, of your studios. Now, some of you, I'm sorry. I'm going to fuss at you for a second here. Okay, try and keep a chromatic order on your palette outside of your mixing area. So around the edge of your palette, you've got your deposits of color, right? And on the inside, you've got that reserved for your mixing area. Don't go getting the tube of paint and going, right, I need more yellow, and going there. There's a place for it, all right? A place for everything in its place. This leads to better color. Now, even though the palette's changing, right? The colors are changing. The order stays the same. What do I mean? Well, we have white here. Consider white your divider on your palette. Everything to the left of the white, I'll address just in a second, but everything to the right or downwards from that white goes through your high key or high chroma colors. So, sorry, I'm off camera here. But let's say right here, pointing at it with a brush handle, coming down this way, this is your high key or high chroma, right? Or your saturated colors. Don't worry about the earth tones, the browns and the golds and the reds and all that stuff, or the earthy reds. But I'm talking your red, your yellow, your red, your blue, through to greeny blue, which is your cobalt teal, through to your green, or maybe you got a deoxazine or a quinacridone magenta. I'm talking your intense punchy colors, your cadmiums, all that sort of bizzo. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, great. So you've got after the white, yellow, through orange if you've got it, but here we got a limited palette, to your crimsons and your reds, through to your magenta, into your blue. It's just like a rainbow, right? Following that color wheel. This is kind of like the color wheel opened up in a linear fashion going through the, yellow, orange, red, blue, violet, green back the other way. And so if I had to make the circle complete, I'd then curl it round and that green end would plug in somewhere around the yellow and you would see that Roy Gabiv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Keep it organized. Then from there, once you've got the color here, see, this was my original sketch color. This was the dark tone. It's still here, right? These are some of my light blues that you've seen me working in, getting some violet and some blue into some greeny blue into some of these aqua notes that are happening down here, but it's still here. So I'm working in my edges and I'm creating little zones. Now look, as I progress this painting, look how much mixing area I still have without ever having to go back to the original sketch color. So just practice this. Be really conscious about this in the beginning, and eventually it will click and it will be intuitive. So right here, if I just got my mix out and I just started mixing right in the middle of the palette and just started creating this one big pile and then just try and adjust that one big pile, I would end up with a mess pretty darn quickly. So again, I'm sorry to fuss at you. I'm sorry. You're not grounded. All right. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Okay. No, just work on that. Because I see some people with just, they're struggling with the painting. They're struggling with their color. They're struggling getting depth or atmosphere. They're struggling with tone. And then I'm like, okay, great. Let's have a look at your palette. And it's chaos. I'm like, oh man, I almost have a bit of an anxiety attack looking at some of the studio practice. So better studio practice leads to better painting. Okay, you got it. Okay, we're still friends? Excellent. Great. Yeah, brush gets full. Excellent. But look, I've been painting with this for a while. I've used some dark tone, some light tone, all kinds of tone, but there's no paint up in the end of that ferrule. Now, watch as I mix. Hopefully in these live streams, you're seeing things, and hopefully I can explain some things that maybe don't make it into some of those full tutorials. All right, let's mix up a little bit of a neutral gray. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pick up a little bit of burnt umber. I'm just going to work it into the end of the brush. What just happened there? I picked up just a little bit, not... No, just a little bit from the front of the pile. Right, sound effect. Did you know I do sound effects? Yeah, I do. Deal with it. Okay, just a little bit of a brush, brush, brush. Not pushing, just holding it very lightly. Do you know often the brush falls out of my hand? I'm holding it so lightly, somewhere halfway along the handle, just with the end. And then did you see I rolled it? But it happens very quick. Brush, 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 roll. Brush, 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 roll. What does the roll do? When you roll your brush, just gently, it pushes all the paint towards the front end of the bristles. So it gets it away from the ferrule. So consequently, it's out of focus, I know. Look, can we do something about that focus, guy? Can we? Oh, I'm painting my mic. Don't go getting paint on your new Shure SM7B. Gizmo. Oh, man. Oh, he's making it worse. Oh, dude. I like that microphone. Now it's covered in paint like everything else. There we go. How good is that? Oh, yeah. Mate, look at that brush. That is bonza, mate. Now, see, there's no paint in the ferrule at all. I could paint like this all day. All day. Okay, so just work on that. Again, dab, 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 roll. Okay, I'm out of focus. Okay, here we go. Let's get some focus here again, fella. Oh, that's where it's at. Cool. All right. Gosh, that got a bit intense there. Sorry. We're still cool though, aren't we? Thank you. Excellent. Glad to hear it. But it's a lot of stuff that people don't talk about. Oh, here's the other thing. All right, studio practice. Paper towel. Okay. This is your friend. If you haven't seen me do this before, let me show you how to do it now. It's incredibly technical. Roll the paper towels. Pull it out. 1 square, 2 square, tear it off. Now, you think I'm kidding right now, but I'm not. Check this out. Okay, so I've got the 2 squares here, right? Fold it over on each other. Here we go. Ready? Ready? Fold it in half. Fold it in half. Boom. Now, when I start using this, and I could still use this thing, but if I open this up, you can see what I've been doing with the brush as I go. This also keeps the paint away from the ferrule. But check out this. That's all that's been used for the paint. Fold it over. Fold it over. If you see the ghost of paint coming through here on the paper towel, then that's the side that you use. So I'm going to hold on to this. And look, ain't no paint on my hands. Paint doesn't get on my hands because you got this thing as well. So bit of studio practice for you. So in this hand, what you probably can't see, it's sitting off camera. In this hand, I got my brushes and my paper towel, and I'm doing this. I'm wiping it off constantly. Okay. Good old Aussie accent. Yeah, it's not great, is it, Nettie? No. Awesome. Should have put a glove over it. On my hand, Marzino. Anyway, I think I'm. Mike got paint, but the ferrule is clean. Yeah, no, I know. My hands are all right. The paint ends up on the panel and everything else, just not my hand. Just not the hands. Not the hands. Don't touch the hands. Now, the other thing, if this is you, if you have a habit of thinking while putting the end of your brush in your mouth, don't do that. Don't do that either. Dude, I've heard of some atrocious health issues that come up from people that have ingested just a little bit of paint here and there. If this is you, don't freak out. Don't freak out. You'll be okay. But just stop doing it. But just putting the end of the brush in their mouth. One day you'll get the wrong end. You're like, oh, that tastes a bit funny. Cadmium tastes weird. Bad news, man. All right. So I'm just getting in a bit of this. I'm actually, what you probably can't really pick up is I'm actually using the color of the panel and scumbling through so it's a little bit lighter to define some of these edges on the rocks. I love the sharpness and jaggedness of some of these rocks. This is granite here in some of the mountains down in the South Island. I tell you what, some of these scenes in the South Island you've got to see. They're just awesome. I caught up with my buddy. I consider him a friend of mine, even though I've never met him in person, but we've talked a bit online. And then I met him in person, and we just couldn't shut up. Just kept talking. His name's Will Patino, and he's in my opinion, I think he's the best photographer in the world. I think he's incredible. And the lengths this guy goes to get his shots are just amazing. Every time I see his photographs come up on my feed on Instagram, I'm just like, dude, that's a painting. And so I've been hounding him for a few years. You got to take me to some of these spots. And so we literally went, part 2 hopefully is coming out next week. Part 1's coming out this week. But we took a chopper to some of these remote landscape locations in the South Island. It was off the hook. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I got to see a couple of these things with Will Patino. But it was cool talking to him because he runs a very similar online venture to what we're doing here. He's cool. Very cool hanging out with him. So this is the waterfall just outside off the Hollyford Track, a place called Lake Marion. This is the waterfall that comes off of Lake Marion that you see along the hiking trail as you hike up towards that lake. And if you're familiar with some of the scenes that I've painted in the past, like Mount Talbot, this is on the backside of Mount Talbot, or the backside of Mount Crosscut, which you can see in full view when you're looking at Mount Talbot from that Fiordland Road, just before you get to the Homer Tunnel. All right. Yeah, I heard of a guy that paints with his fingers and got cadmium poisoning. Yeah, cool. All right. Get a few of these darker tones in here. Sew up that line there. And I want to get the top of that rock. I want a little bit more of an interesting shape. I think the top corner of that rock needs to be a little more pronounced. And maybe we could come around that side and just boom. I want nice, interesting interlocking shapes, even though I'm going a little bit off script here. By off script, I mean, I'm looking at my photographic reference. I'm following it reasonably closely, but I'm not copying the photo. All right. I kind of am. I guess you'd have to say I am, but I'm just making a few changes as I go. You know, sometimes we do put roadblocks in the way. We do put things in the way, make rules and all kinds of stuff. And maybe I've done that quite a bit in the past. And I really am starting to loosen up on that. My main goal this year is to get you painting, get you drawing, get you working. Are you working right now while you're watching this? Are you drawing or painting right now? And do you watch the content while you're working? That's cool. If you're doing that, that's awesome, man. One of the things I love to do is consume audio and video material while I'm working in the studio. And it's this year has just been such a cool learning experience. I've been learning so much from so many different people. Really enjoying my Audible subscription. If you're not on Audible, I'm not sponsored by them or affiliated with them at all. But I'm just really kind of grateful for all of this stuff that we have access to now. You know, there are drawbacks to the internet, to the technological age. I mean, there are things that we could start talking about and roads we could go down, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on the access that we have today as artists, the access to growth and learning and potential, and just, you know, tapping into a new version of ourselves. So I'm really enjoying this book called Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. Really enjoying that at the moment. It's really shifting some of my thinking. And also really enjoying the E-Myth. Sorry. I can't even say it's too early. The E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber. Which is, I think, short for the entrepreneurial myth. Actually, I'm listening to Awakening the Entrepreneur Within by Michael Gerber. So he's author of the E-Myth. But fantastic book as well. And thank you for all your comments on the audiobook Creator Activator video that I put out. I've got a few Creator Activator videos still to come that I'm going to be just kind of dropping and peppering through. Everybody has access to that series here on the Academy. But you here as the official top tier Academy members, you're going to be getting some more behind the scenes stuff very soon, but also extended videos as well. But with that Creator Activator series, I think the next one coming out, I'm talking to you about galleries again, kind of spurred on by my recent trip away. I went into Queenstown and just had a look at the art scene there. It's been a couple of years since I was down there and checking out what they had to offer in some of the spaces. And I tell you what, man, I was really shocked, and not in a good way at all. And I was just like, I got to make a video about this. You know, you got a golden opportunity here in one of the most stunning locations in the world, one of the top tourist destinations in the world, and you do that? Really? You know, it's amazing how people have dropped the ball and the quality has just gone downhill. Quality on everything, customer service, you know, just being acknowledged when you walk in the door, like the snooty vibe that comes through, right? The quality of the space, the quality of the art is okay. I don't want to, you know, down the artist at all, but yeah, it really left something to be desired. I was kind of shocked. It's really kind of lost its way. But such an amazing opportunity if you can get into that type of space, because there's a lot of buyers there. Anyway. So Marzino is watching. You're all in, Marzino. Marzino says, I'm watching, but after this, I'm going back to work on a seascape. Yeah, fair enough. Ernest Taylor, audiobook and Atomic. Atomic Habits, you mean? That's a good book. James Clear. I'm actually painting along with you and learning so much. Fantastic, Nettie. Excellent. Grateful for all you and Rachel do. Yes, watching and listening, absorbing while painting. Please more on color mixes and why. Okay, Alicia, you got it. You got it. Have you been watching what I'm doing here with my transparent yellow oxide? This color here is dynamite. Now, again, can I get that reference out for you again, just to show you kind of what I'm thinking here? I want to show you some of this stuff here. This is cool, man. This is cool. See that moss on that rock? Is that coming through? I know it's really blown out and terrible exposure. How about that rock? That rock's better? You get these rusty greens and more intensity as well. It's not a blue green, it's a red green almost. But then this intense pop right there, where maybe you got some moss and algae, just on the side of that rock that's constantly wet. But here at the top, that rusty color, I'm telling you, man, that transparent yellow oxide, that's where it's at. So I'm going to start mixing in a bit more of that, and we'll start getting in a few of these colors with the rock in the over here in the distance. I want to start now, because what happens as you start to fill in your scene, I can kind of see and get a feel for where this is going and how it's going. But what happens is these little areas that are still not yet covered in paint kind of really stand out and are quite distracting. So I want to make sure that I get as much of this ground covered as possible. So that way the light dynamic can start to be built in. So let's just start covering this area and get some more color in there. While I got a little bit of this, absolutely all in, says Marzino. Can't have distractions when I'm learning. My man. Awesome, dude. Awesome. That's what I like to hear, Marzino. Hey, where are you, bro? What country are you in? Where are you watching from at the moment? We're all over the place here around the world, which is awesome. I mean, this is the other thing. Speaking of like technology and what it's given us artists, like here I am in the middle of nowhere in the South Island of New Zealand. I'm the only one. Well, our family in this house we're the only permanent residents in this bay where I live here in Kenepuru Sound. And where are you? You're somewhere, in the world, obviously. But I just, doesn't that blow your mind? It blows my mind, dude. It blows my mind that we could just be sharing this space together through technology. As much as I bag technology, and I'm a bit of a curmudgeon, that way, I kind of very suspicious of the internet. I do also try to embrace it because it gives me access. I have access to you. We get to hang out. You have access to me. That you got to admit, that's cool. That's cool. So just get a little bit of this color back in here. I might not do too much with it in this pass, but some cool blues, ultramarine, bit of cobalt teal, some depth of tone, and then work in a little bit of that transparent yellow oxide. And we'll lift out some highlights too. I love that little bit of violet coming through too. That's fun. That's fun. All right. Bought my first tube of Creminence White. Haven't opened it yet. Tony, do it. Do it. Excellent. And Alicia, I hope you're going to enjoy that cobalt teal. I hope you're going to enjoy that. I'm telling you what, that cobalt teal is a game changer. If you've used cerulean blue, but you enjoy that color and it was a permanent fixture on your palette and that color space open for a greeny blue, which is really quite an important color to round out your palette, you need something to occupy that space. You can mix a cerulean equivalent, but I enjoyed using cerulean, for years. But as soon as I got that cobalt teal right there, I'm telling you what, man, my painting just improved almost overnight. Now, I don't like to go on about like materials being what can make or break a painting, but if there's something you're trying to achieve, sometimes just having that availability of that color there, it just unlocking something for your technique, it can make a difference. It can push you in a new direction. And I found that this was the bee's knees for me. Now, back in the day, I was using a brand of paint called Langridge way back when I first started my channel, and then since switched to Blue Ridge. Just a coincidence that they both have Ridge in their name, but no association with one another. Langridge is a Melbourne paint company, and Blue Ridge is made in North Carolina. But I started using cobalt teal from Langridge, but the chemical name for that, there's two different ones that I've found. It's PB28 or PG50. PB for permanent blue or PG for permanent green. So PB28 or PG50. and they both are very good. They hold a slightly different color space depending on the manufacturer, but there's a lot of manufacturers that make that. So as I mentioned, Langridge, if you're down under, and I mean, Blue Ridge will ship to you. So do support Eric Silver if you can, because he's a hardworking dude, and it's just him. He's a solo operator out of his home in North Carolina, but that guy's attention to detail across his range of paints. His paints are awesome. They're the best I've used, and I use them professional. I mean, I don't just talk about them in the videos. I use it for all my stuff. I got a few of my old tubes that I'm working through, but all of this, everything you're seeing here, it's all Blue Ridge. But look, if you don't, some people have had issues with shipping or whatever, or they don't want to, I get it, whatever. Okay, if you've got your preferred brand, that's fine. But Williamsburg, I think, make a cobalt teal. Old Holland, I think, do a cobalt teal. Schminky, I don't know about Schminky. I don't know about Schminky. But I'm pretty sure Gamblin might do one. I don't know. Loving the rocks. Mine look like potatoes. Mine look like potatoes too, I guess, that have been kind of smashed up a little bit. Just carve around on those potatoes a little bit there, Fly. I tell you what, some of these rocks that are rounder in the foreground are going to start looking like potatoes. While I've got you here in the live, and if you're watching the replay of this and you don't have access to the live chat, again, if you're watching the replay, I'm going to try and work out a way to save the live chat. I haven't figured it out yet. I know I said I would, but I'm just working out how to do it. I can't find the right box to check on YouTube or the program that I use called Ecamm Live. So it is what it is at the moment. If you're here live, then you can take part in the chat. But otherwise, you can just comment, and I can read your comments later, post on the Patreon page. But there's always somebody who's entering the chat, or so they think, on the Patreon page while they're viewing on Patreon. And that's fine, but I just don't get that until after. So let me pick your brain while I got you here. Slightly, I hope you don't mind. But how do I phrase this? I'm thinking about making something for you, right? Because I get all these questions, and I've been thinking about this idea for a while. I want to produce a tutorial for you. Let me ask it this way. If you had access to a tutorial that gave you techniques that were all about painting landscapes, rocks, water, clouds, trees, grass, light, atmosphere, and when I say atmosphere, I'm thinking like things like mist, maybe even something on snow. Rachel was saying, you got to do something on snow. Would that be something that would be valuable to you? Let me know. And just so I can catch it just quickly on the live chat when I'm glancing over here, or in afterwards, after I post this, just say, Andrew, if you could do a tutorial that had all that stuff in it, yeah, I'd be down. Could you just let me know? Because I'm thinking about doing something, and when I do this, when I hit engage and I just go for it, that undertaking is going to take me so long, and I just want to know that that's something that people would find valuable. I'm thinking about one-stop shop where you could find all of the information that you needed to paint jaw-dropping landscapes that people just don't paint anymore. And this is one thing that I'm trying to get myself to do, but I'm trying to teach with my content is how do you create paintings that are just so dramatic? How did the old masters do it? Let's talk about that. So would that be something that would interest you? Second question. If it was 24 hours long, but broken up into sections or modules, would that be something that would interest you? Let me know. Oh, I hear Hugo. I think he's fallen over. That's right. He's with his mama. Yes, even mini tutorials of each landscape subject. Right. Yes, all of it. Francisco. Yeah, longer the better. Yes, Virginia's in. Okay, yes, snippets would be very valuable. So I'm thinking like you would have this thing sitting on your shelf and you'd be like, how do I do this bit? And then you literally be able to go to that section and find it. So I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering. I hope you don't mind me asking you that, because I've been thinking about this thing going, how do I help? How do I help? How can I help you? Just, how do we just kick butt this year and just get a really solid foundation under us so that we can really just start painting the scenes that we want to paint, and that we're not held back by technique. We're not held back by materials. You can see, look, for my part anyway, at least how I do it. And I really want to give you access to that. And I continue to try to work on my content, but I want to create something here that is just a one hit thing that's like, boom, if you're going to get this and you're going to get the help that you need, there it is in one hit. Cool. Totally would. Yeah. Please make that. Okay. All right. Done. I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Broken up into subject. Yeah. Excellent. All right. All right. Yes. Even 24 hours. Yeah. You could even turn it into a challenge. Watch it all in one go without breaks. No, but I'm serious about, I've been thinking about my demos for that for the last couple of weeks, going, how would I do that? How would I break that up? And I can think of at least 24 hours, which would make it a 12 disc set or 12 downloadable modules. But it's possible. It's possible. Cool. You can see now how the tone, everything's starting to darken. It's tightening up now. We're really starting to get some idea of where this is going. The major zones, I'm going to leave that little bit there because I got a nice little highlight I want to put through there. So Deborah, you haven't posted it on Facebook, and I have a Southwestern painting I must finish, but have been lacking the skills. Yeah, I hear you, Deborah. I hear you. Like, a lot of people are very shy about sharing their work, especially before they feel like they're ready to share. And that's okay. Look, the Facebook page is there for you when you're ready. But I would just encourage you, if you do feel like, maybe you're not quite there, just remember that's what the Facebook page is for. It really is a support network for us as artists that we can learn and grow from each other. So if you're not quite there with your skills, use the group. Use the group to say, hey, look, I'm struggling with this part. Has anybody else found this? Can anybody give me some guidance here, or tell me what you found when you came across this issue? And it's not a place to show off work, although, I mean, you can do that. It's more for the group aspect and helping each other out. That's really what it's about. And I got to say, man, when I jump on that Facebook page, I'm blown away by, yes, the quality of the art, but some people are, look, it is what it is. Some people are genuinely struggling, and you can see that, and they're just up front. They say, look, I'm struggling with the water here. I'm struggling with the trees, or I need a bit of a critique. Can somebody just help me? Give me a bit of feedback here. Where am I going wrong? I can't see it. It's just so overwhelming and heartwarming, like really genuinely, when I see people on that Facebook page just going, hey, look, great start. Try this, do this. The support is awesome. And I know for a fact that there are people there that have started to make friends, and I'm sure we'll be lifelong friends just from connecting on that Facebook page. So to everybody taking part in that, fantastic. Well done. I'm going to post the link to the Facebook page in the description below this live stream when I post the replay. But again, if you've been denied from the Facebook page, it's probably because you didn't give me your name or click that you agreed to the group rules. There is a verification process. I get dozens of requests pretty much daily. I get dozens of requests, and I'm the one personally that's going through it. I would much rather be painting than sitting there on the message request tab on the Facebook page in the back end doing the stuff that no one sees. I'd much rather be in the studio. So help me out. Follow those verification steps. If you have been denied, but you're like, hey, what gives? I'm following you here on Patreon. I'm part of the Academy. I've been denied from the Facebook page. What's going on, man? Then it's probably because you didn't give me your name or the email that you signed up to Patreon with. So I couldn't find you to make sure you were following here on Patreon. So I couldn't let you in. And it's that simple. It was nothing personal. But if that was you, then please go ahead and send through that request again. But make sure you enter your details correctly into that field that says, please give me your name or email that you use on Patreon so you can be verified. Just go ahead and fill that in right. And then I can get to you and you can be part of that page. Okay. So that's what that page is for. The support, the camaraderie, the connecting with other artists. And I think, 2 brains are better than 1. 15 brains are awesome. 20 brains is a mastermind, right? And really you can just grow rapidly if you just open yourself up and allow yourself to become a little bit vulnerable. Realize that it's not personal. Just go, what am I here to do? What's the goal, right? What's the objective? Straight up, what's it about? Is it growth? Is there artistic growth? Do I want to learn? Cool. Right. Then realize that it's not a competition. I cannot stand art competition. And I feel this coming up still to this day. There's a little voice in me just going, oh, dude, he's got you whipped. And I'm like, shut up, man. That's not what it's about. I know I'm not the best, but there's still a little voice in my head going, oh, I'm going to be the best. I'm the best. No, that's not what it's about. And I don't enter competitions, and I haven't for years for that reason, that I just don't believe in it. That ego, it's something that's a sly little villain that's in there, and it's something that I really would like to divorce myself from, but it's still there, I think most interesting people have an ego. So I try to be interesting. I've got a nice big ego there. But I try to kick its butt too if it gets out of check. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Anyway, rambling. Does the speed and ease of digital painting output ever draw you away from physical painting? No, John, I keep that stuff in check, man. Don't get me wrong. Painting digitally is addictive and I love it, and I will be doing more of it, a lot more of it. And I think it is absolutely a valid art form. We were talking before about colored pencils and watercolors and water-soluble oils and stuff, and people going, well, that's not real art. Well, you should try doing putting on your wading pants and diving into that freaking comment section on YouTube and into that nice little quagmire and hear what people got to say about digital art. This isn't art. It's like, I'm bored with it, dude. But to me, it's absolutely a valid art form. But yeah, to your point, the ease of digital, I don't know that I'd call it ease or convenience. You can build something up quickly, but I think it is difficult to do well. And again, a shout out to the digital artists that are following and maybe watching now. Yeah, I think we've got Anthony Avon here, who's just, the guy's just incredible. Love his stuff. I follow him on Patreon too, and he does some amazing art, and he's got a great style. And I think Lorenzo is still around, and I follow Lorenzo on Instagram, and I'm loving some of the stuff that he posts on his Instagram page. But I'm pretty sure he's still following here on Patreon. But I love the digital stuff. But I when I say I keep it in check, I try to make sure that I have a scheduled 40 to 50 hours of painting time a week and somewhere between 6 to 12 hours of drawing time. I'm really, it's a toss up between getting in just an hour a day or 2 hours a day. I really try for that 2 hours of drawing time a day. It's been a little difficult. I've been away and I've only been back for a few days. So I'm back into my routine again next week. I try to get back into it as quickly as possible. But I haven't for the last week that I've been away. It just hasn't been possible to keep up with the early mornings. And since being back, while I just get my body back into alignment and back to reality, I'm going to hit those early mornings again next week. So starting Monday, it's back to 3 a.m. start. Okay, art by Therese. I've just entered a women's prize in Sydney. Not holding my breath about being accepted though. Look, you know, don't take my bad attitude towards competitions and awards too seriously. There is a time and a place for them, and they can actually serve you as an artist in terms of, you know, how you could get exposure that way. I got exposure in the beginning by entering a couple of community art prizes. But if you're going in expecting to win, that's something that's very difficult to measure because of the judging process. And they're all virtually the same. They hire, and air quotes, I'm holding a brush, but you can imagine I'm doing like air quotes like Dr. Evil. Laser. No, like judges, experts. Am I right? You get the freaking experts, man. And they, experts in what? And what they choose. And then their explanation is just... Yeah, it's verges on the comical. So I don't get into it. But if you could get accepted and you could get exposed to the people that would be going to visit that competition or award, then hey man, that can work wonders for your career, and you could get on the map like overnight. That could happen. So don't take my bad attitude to heart too much or take it too seriously. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. You got to do what serves you. But personally, I don't enter them because it just kind of gets in the way of my mission and what I'm about. I've always just done my thing, and I've always been fiercely independent. And, you know, I entered a few of those awards in the beginning, and they did help, and I did get a bit of exposure. And whilst it might have been nice to win, I haven't won anything except for an award that was given to me in high school. And you would have seen that in my portfolio review that's here on Patreon. So when I showed my old folio, I talked about the Alina Brady Art Award, which is what I won from Applecross Senior High School in Perth back in the day. Graduated in the year 2000, and I got that award. So that's the only one. That's probably the only one Tish is ever going to win. And I'm okay with that. It's award enough. Like I can I say this? Is this cheesy? I just feel like I've won just to be able to just sit here with you and do this. This is cool, man. This is where it's at for me. Like I am just so full of beans and joy. And it gets me so freaking pumped to just talk to people about painting. That's where it's at for me. That's where it's at for me. So yeah. So was it who posted that? Therese, yeah. So I hope look, I hope you get accepted, Therese. I hope you do. Because it could be cool. But if you don't, it doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about it. Keep going. Cool? Cool. You get it. You get what I'm saying. Awesome. I figured you had a wall of trophies, says Diane. Trophies for what? Somebody send me can someone please send me a trophy? I don't have a trophy. I don't have a trophy. I now want a trophy. I want to be holding a brush on my trophy, and I want to be like doing a flying karate kick. And I want it to say to Tish for kicking ass. That's what I want. And I want it to be gold, and I want it to be big. All right? Somebody get onto that. I want my trophy. I want it now. Then I'll feel like I made it. Hey, Felicia, I'm going to read your comment out here. So again, if you're in the live chat, you'll be able to see this. But if you're watching this in post, I've been entering sponsoring websites monthly for contests for over a year. Not even placed without about 100 entries a month. I guess I really stink. Oh, well. No, you don't. No, you don't, Felicia. That's not where it's at. And this is the trouble with entering awards, is that you attach your self-worth to the outcome over things that are totally outside of your control. Take your focus off the awards. Stop entering. Just paint. Just draw. Focus on developing your skills for sure. But just because you got rejected from that award doesn't mean anything. Did you know that I entered a lot of awards? I got rejected from every friggin' one after a certain point. They didn't want to touch me. I don't know why. But I'm starting to get my suspicions that it might be because, I don't know, maybe I didn't fit in with the institution where I studied and I got my fine arts degree. And because I had a bad attitude and because I was very critical of the program, that maybe word got out and got around. I didn't play the game politically, and I've never been accepted by academia. They know it. I know it. And so maybe that was it. Maybe I could have been smarter and played the game. Does it mean anything about what my painting? Well, they would probably tell you that Andrew's paintings are so bad that we need a bucket every time we open his website to take a look. I don't know, but I'm guessing it's not the paintings. I'm guessing it comes down to who you know or whatever. But it doesn't matter. What you have control over is what that means to you. And to me, when I got rejected from these things, yeah, at first it stung, but now it doesn't mean anything. I'm glad I didn't get accepted by these awards and competitions. So don't worry. If you didn't get accepted, Felicia, you're in good company. Hey, I'd like to think so anyway. Yeah. So John P says, Felicia, measure your success based on you achieving your goals and not what some other random judges decide. Yeah. And honestly, like, this is why I can't stand that judging process because, oh, look, I'm having a good old bitch here. Okay. But the judging process, they hire these people that are just, they want to justify their existence by choosing the most weird, wacky, and wonderful thing with just such an esoteric explanation about how they loved how this person, it invokes the monkey spirit and gets in touch with their inner child and then really slings that pasta and macaroni on the canvas with the ketchup and then talks about their inner feelings. I don't know, man. I don't even get it. I don't play that game. But the weirder the explanation can be as to why they chose something, or maybe it turns out that look, this happened. I was at a competition where it was revealed that the winner was related to the judge. This stuff happens. It doesn't mean anything if you didn't get accepted. If you didn't get accepted, good. And my father used to tell me all the time, he's like, Andrew, the only way to win is not to play. Dude, that's so true sometimes. But I've known other artists who were able to play the game and did very well, and good for them. Good for them. That's never been me. And consequently, my knocks in the past and my bad attitude just meant that, okay, here's my motto, okay? And you might think, oh, well, that's very braggadocious, Andrew. How dare you? But I've said this to other people, just privately, other artists and stuff. I said, guy, forget about it. Build your own thing. Build your own thing. I'm more interested in building my own empire. And when I say empire, it's just a little empire of one in my own mind, but that's okay. I'm doing my own thing and I'm happy like that. And who knows, I might even do my own competition. I've said to people before, so I was part of an awards where I was actually part of the awards from the background that so you didn't, they were like, oh, will you enter it? I'm like, no, I'm part of I won't judge it, but I'm part of the organization of it. And I said to them, this was the Lawrence Community Art Show. When I used to live in that small town in the South Island of Lawrence, they wanted to do an art show. And they're like, Andrew, you're an artist, you know about art. Can you help us put on this show? I'm like, sure. But I said, here's my involvement. Number one, you don't ask me to judge. I will not judge it. And number two, you don't have any judges coming down to judge this show. You open it up from a ballot box system, you make it democratic, and you have only one award, which is People's Choice. And then there's a first prize for the most votes, second prize, for second most votes, and third, and so on. What that did, though, is it got the entire community involved in voting for the winning piece. And the rightful winner, won it because people could come through and they were like, oh, I know nothing about art. And we would just be like, well, what do you like? Go have a look. What do you like? Oh, I love that one. That's really cool. That looks great. And I said, fantastic, go cast your vote there. And so there was a fantastic artist who ended up winning. It was awesome. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the judging process. Yeah. Oh, cool. Felicia, it sounds like you're taking it well. That's good. That's good. But yeah, just remember, it's no reflection on you at all. You know, dude, I didn't get accepted for nothing. Yeah. I'm not bitter about it, though. No, I'm fine. Bastards. Anyway, moving on. Enjoying some of these darker tones. How did you didn't tell me my camera got done bumped there. Let me adjust my camera, guys. I'm a little bit off frame. I'm sorry. All right. Oh man, I'm having fun. Is my iPad charging up? Why are you not charging up? I'm gonna have to swap out my charger. There we go. Now you're charging. Good. About to run out of juice on the old iPad there. That's not good. All right, let me get a quick sip of water and we'll keep going. Quick time check. Oh man, time is fun when you're having flies. It's 20 to 12. I better get a wiggle on with some of these rocks in the foreground. John P. Q. This year we've hit the ground running. What is your mission statement for this year in one sentence? John, that is a fantastic question. And I'm going to assume that is open to the entire group. But I'd love to hear what people think about that. I've recently stumbled upon my mission, not just for this year, but for my life now moving forward. And it's funny because it actually involves both of us, you and me. Not just John, everybody, right? But my mission statement now is to help you become the artist you are meant to be. And in order for me to do that, I have to be the artist I'm meant to be. So to be everything for you, I got to be everything for me. And I got to maximize my skills, my ability, my content, everything across the board to make sure I can help you and serve you. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, man. That's what gets me waking up at 3 a.m. I mean, not many people are going to do that. I'm not saying that as a brag. I'm still shocked that I can do that. Because I've never done that before in my life. But I just hop out of bed, I get straight in that cold shower, and then bam, I start working with an energy and an enthusiasm and intensity that I haven't found before. And it's because from what's John's saying there, it's because I've gotten in touch with my mission, and that has been recent. You've probably witnessed this change. I've gotten some messages here on Patreon. People just say, "Man, Andrew, you are full of beans. Your energy, yeah, you got me waking up." And maybe it's not 3 a.m., but I'm waking up at 5. Hey, that's cool. That's cool, man. That's really cool. So I think getting in touch with your mission is important. What's driving you? And a good way to think about it, if you're like, well, I don't know what my mission is. Well, have a think about it this way. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why do you do what you do? What's your purpose? And sometimes just asking yourself that simple question of why, it might take some thought, but just go, hang on a second, why? Why do I love this? Why do I want to do this? And that can open up that floodgate within you to go, oh yeah, because when I do this, it actually makes me feel complete. It actually makes me feel like I can connect to that deeper part of myself that has a yearning or a longing to create. It actually makes me feel connected to my creator by painting something that is just, nature and just raw, sheer energy of water moving through rock. I feel something. I feel connected. It can be simple. What's your why? And then what's your mission around that? That's such a good question, John. I love that, man. I love riffing on that stuff. Yeah, Nettie, Archibald, the classic skilled artists have not won in many, many years. It's interesting when you look back at the past winners of the Archibald and the Win Prize, which is a landscape prize. You have the greats. You have like McCubbin. The win prize was won by Hans Heissen a couple of times. You know, there's a guy that's won in recent years through the 90s and early 2000s, Robert Hannaford in Australia. And I rate Robert Hannaford with one of the best living artists today. He's a phenomenal painter. But he's managed to make it work. I really like his work. I think he's a dude. Oh, thanks, John. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, John says your stuff was great before, but this year there's been a different energy that resonates and is convicting in a good way. Yeah, cool, man, cool. That's really good to hear. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. So I'm getting a few of these lighter tones in, but you know me. I'm saving that tonal best for last. I'm just going to get a couple of these rocky colors in. And I think I'm going to build into this a bit of texture, but I'm liking this. Only 3 Eclipse brushes this whole time. I would have sworn I was going to get out that Tish dagger, but no, just sticking with these Eclipse for now. Just enjoying this. So I don't know how far I'm going to get in this session, but we got about 15 minutes to go in this live stream. Again, thank you so much for joining me here in the studio. I've really enjoyed your company. I always enjoy your company. It's great hanging out with you and talking about art business, and just riffing about life. Life, mate. Bloody life. It's good, isn't it? Someone's got to live it. We're doing it, aren't we? You and me. I think despite everything that's going on out there in the world, we can be so distracted today and so disconnected. Art for me, talking about purpose and why and your mission, like art for me is a way to just reconnect with something and shut out the noise. Have you ever heard so much noise in your life? Your phone's going off. The news is on. It just all this stuff constantly. It's just so difficult to shut out. But for me, art, holding this space here with you, it's gone. The outside world will take care of itself. I'll either be able to control something or not, but I'm not going to let it worry me either way. But one thing I can do is I can pick up a paintbrush, and hey, it's actually a lot better when I pick up a paintbrush, because this is something that I feel like I can control. And even if the painting gets away from me and I feel like I'm out of control with my particular process, I'm like, hey, at least I'm painting. At least I'm painting. Right? So even a bad painting can be great. It's all good. Chill out, mate. Chill out. Oh, stop doing the Aussie accent, Andrew. You're not good at it. All right, cool. All right, I will. Grant, I'm about to put in an order for paint. Yes, okay, Grant, you go straight to blueridgeoils.com. blueridgeoils.com. You place an order. Here's what I'd really recommend you get. If you don't have your high key colors, focus on these. You can get burnt umber from a lot of different places. Eric Silver does have sets. So if you click on sets, you can get some of the sets that I have available. They've got the basic palette, but you're probably going to need a cadmium lemon, quinacridone magenta, and a cobalt teal. Why am I starting there? Well, think about your printer palette. I've done some color theory demos on this before, but CMYK, right? Cyan, magenta, and yellow, and black, K for black. Now, why CMYK? Well, every printer can make such a wide range of colors based on just a few really intense, pungent inks that are in that little reservoir in your printer at home, right? Open up your printer. Have a look at the different colors that are there. It's not, yellow, red, and blue. It's cyan, magenta, and yellow. So it's a greeny blue, it's a violet red, and it's a really intense yellow. And so I would start there. So I'd get a cadmium lemon, which really closely matches that color. I would get a magenta, quinacridone magenta, and I'd get a cobalt teal. Cobalt teal. And I think, mate, you'd be laughing. That's a good thing, right? So get yourself some of those colors, and you'll be able to mix a wide range. So add them to some of the colors that you've got currently on the go, and maybe just replace them, just a few. But since you ask, what colors do I need? Start there. Start there. And I think after playing with those colors, you'd be convinced. You're like, oh, game changer. This is where it's at, dude. Yeah. I'm just picking up on the chat here. Marzino said something. My mission is to build career capital. Oh, Marzino has read the book. So good they can't ignore you. Build career capital by enhancing my skills to become more rare and valuable. Yet I really believe my work will stand out if I can accomplish this. Fantastic. Fantastic. If you haven't listened to the audio book or read the print version of So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport, highly recommend that. Cal Newport basically destroys the myth of finding your passion or living your passion, and talks about becoming passionate about what you're skilled at. So taking your focus off passion and moving it towards skills development and building what he calls skills capital, or it could be referred to as career capital. So by becoming good, as in so good they can't ignore you, ironically, you end up becoming passionate about that thing. But passion is not the focus. Passion is the byproduct. Our focus is all over the shop with what we do and what we choose to do. And so focus on skills, building your skills, becoming good. And that title came from a line by Steve Martin, and he was talking about becoming so good they can't ignore you. And so it ended up sticking as the title for this book. Cal Newport loved that quote from Steve Martin so much. He's like, yeah, that's it. Become so good they can't ignore you. And what were we just talking about with competitions, right? Become so good they can't ignore you. I tell you a fun little story. I mean, I just for my part anyway, look, you might be here because I know a thing or two about painting, okay? Even though I'm still learning, I know a thing or two about painting. I didn't always know what I know about painting. I started from zero like everybody else. I wasn't that good in the beginning. But I worked on building career capital. I went to galleries. I got rejected from every gallery, just like every major competition I entered. I got rejected from every single gallery. And then what ended up happening, I was like, damn it, I'm going to just work on my skills. I'm going to become so good they can't ignore me. What ended up happening? The same galleries that rejected me years before started reaching out to me going, oh, we've seen your work. We really love your paintings, mate. You want to come show at our gallery? Like, didn't even respond to their message. So now I became so good I ignored them. But it's a true story, dude. It's a true story. So I just focused on my skills and skill development, and then I realized that this gallery selling model, there's something here that's off. There's something here that's broken, and again, I'm really passionate about building your own thing. Right now, you have at your fingertips access, and most people don't even know it, that we have access to the world. And the galleries are just now waking up to the fact that they barely have a pulse. The model is broken. And I haven't seen many galleries that have been able to adapt, move, or change in response to a changing world. It's like they haven't woke up yet. It's like you're Kodak and you haven't realized that digital cameras already have you whipped, and you're not part of the cutting edge of the new world that's presented itself. We have the internet. It's over for you unless you can do something about it, unless you can grow with it, move or adapt. We can be upset about the changes that are coming, or we can anticipate those changes and grow with it. But as artists, if you're a gallery, be worried. But if you're an artist, man, be happy, because you got something now at your fingertips that the gallery never saw coming. I know. I was working with the gallery very recently. I'm not going to do it again. I'm out. I'm out. I'm not doing it again. I just don't see the point in it. I don't see the point in it. You know, no hard feelings to the gallery that I was associated with until very recently, but I'm not doing it anymore. You know, it's over, dude. Would it make more sense to concentrate on one type of painting, i.e. portraits or landscapes or animals, rather than working on it all? Ah, Felicia, see, another great question. I don't know. I do everything because I'm inspired by everything, and I prefer to just be that guy that just does whatever he wants to do. I don't really give that too much thought anymore. I've been told and criticized saying, oh, Andrew, you know, you need to just stick to one thing. You know, you're the landscape guy. Keep painting those red rocks and water. Yeah, but I want to paint a portrait once in a while, and then I'm going to paint my dog. And that's valid. That's valid. That's what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. So again, that sounds a lot like a rule to me, and I'm not into it. Do your thing, man, and enjoy it. Really enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I've so enjoyed hanging out with you. We're coming up on 4 minutes to the top of the hour, which would make it 12 noon here in New Zealand. I've been talking with you for 2 hours, and I haven't gotten a word in edgewise. So next time, yeah, just spare a thought. No, look, enjoyed your company. I always enjoy your company. Very grateful for you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being part of this. You know, we're a small group here in our little corner of the internet, but how good is it to have our own thing here? I just think that's so cool. That's so cool. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so Gary, and in addition to what Gary's saying, I agree. Painting should be fun and painting what you want, not what other people want you to do. So may I add to that, Gary? I think it's got to do both, right? I think it's such a great point. I think I do want to paint for people, and I want people to appreciate what I'm doing, and I want to paint something that people genuinely enjoy. But the only way to connect with that is to do what I really enjoy first, by being authentic and doing what I really want to do and connecting with that thing that I've got in me that has to get out. Then I think people see that and they recognize something there. It's called authenticity, right? And you can only be authentic by just genuinely being honest with yourself. I want to paint bright orange nudes. Okay, if that's your thing, guy, you go right ahead and do it. I want to paint, you know, waterfalls amongst granite rocks. And even though it's not the 19th century anymore, and even though my lecturers at university told me that painting landscapes is dead, that's just what I want to do. And I'm happy. Great, then do that. And so I've just decided that's what I'm doing. I want to do what I want to do. And chances are, when I'm being authentic and really loving what I'm going to do, the people that enjoy that will find it and they'll pick up what I'm putting down. And the people that don't, won't, and it doesn't matter. Not everybody's going to love what you do. Not everybody loves what I do. I don't think I would want them to. It wouldn't be special, what we have here, if everybody was into it. I mean, it's truth. People love the Kardashians. Far more people are into the Kardashians than are into Tish. I don't understand that. I think I'm way cooler. But there are billions of 12-year-olds out there that just think that the Kardashians are the bee's knees. I don't understand that. I think they should be painting. I think their parents should be going to the mall and buying them art material and sitting them down in front of Tish, right? So Tish can teach them painting rather than buying whatever trinkets the Kardashians are into. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a silly point, but you see what I'm saying? It's not about popularity. You got to get in touch with that thing within you and do what you really want to do. And the right people will show up. But the main thing is you'll be happy because you're doing what you want to do. You got to paint for you, man, first and foremost. And then through that authenticity, you end up finding your people. But yes, agree with what Gary said, 100%. All right. Oh, cool. Hey, thanks, Nettie. I get the joke. I get the joke. I'm into my dad jokes. Thanks, Andrew. Love painting along with you this morning. You rock. Haha. Get it? Rocks. Yeah, I see what you did there. I'm going overtime because I'm not done with the punchline of this painting. So if you want to keep hanging out, like great. If you want to go, you can go. But I might go for a few extra minutes here because I'm painting and I don't want to stop. So if that's cool with you, you can just hang out. And I'm going to leave the foreground. I'm going to work that out because this is my drawing board and I'm actually starting to paint the edge of the the edge of the wood there. And speaking of MDF, this is MDF, but I'm not, this material here, this is MDF, but I'm not painting on it, right? I use it a bunch for construction, but I don't use it as a surface for painting. Right. Let's jump back into the chat. Turn off the TV and turn on the Tish. Yeah, Gary, am I right? Come on, man. Come on. Gary gets it. Gary gets it. What's on TV that you'd be watching? Ditch Netflix, dude. Come on. It's crap. It's such garbage. The thing I might have said this in the last live stream, but I often get people saying, I don't have time. Oh, I'd love to do that. I just don't have time. And I think actually we did talk about this in the last live stream. And somebody said that, oh, I just don't have time. And then I think the question was, what was the last TV show you watched? And I might have gone a bit hard on the poor fella, but it is a genuine question. What's the last TV show you watched? Now, question, when you're on your deathbed, okay, a little bit morbid here, sorry, but when you're on your deathbed, what are you going to be thinking about? What are you going to be really grateful for? For me, first and foremost, it's going to be obviously family, my beautiful wife, my gorgeous son, and the time that I spent with them. And the time that I spent at the easel doing the thing that, you know, God Almighty has put me here to do. Now, that's just my particular worldview, okay? Don't get it twisted. If that's not your thing, that's fine. That's fine. That's just my thing. All right? Might be your thing too, and that's cool, but that's just my thing. I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to do because I feel this is what God put me here to do. Okay? That's just how I derive meaning from my life, and it serves me. That's what I'm going to be thinking about. I'm not going to be thinking, oh, thank goodness I caught that episode of Breaking Bad. Now I can peacefully just shuffle off this mortal coil, you know? Oh, thank goodness that was a good episode. No, you're not going to be thinking about this. Focus on what matters and focus on it now, you know? Silly, I know, but think about it. Like, what it pales in comparison to what's really important. And part of, okay, this is the most conspiratorial you'll hear me get this year. But I think part of what who are they? I don't know. Don't ask me. But part of what they want you to do is they want you to be really distracted. So they're going to put in front of you all the fancies, all the fancies, lollipops, bells and trinkets, and all the gizmos, whiz bangs, and friggin' dances on the boob tube to keep you distracted from what you're meant to be doing, which is getting in touch with that thing that scratches the creative itch from within. When you're really, effective and really able to make a positive impact, not only for yourself, but for your family, your community, people at large. They don't want you connected to that thing that makes you, feel like you're alive. They want you distracted, bummed out. And here's the news, first at 5. Anyway, I'm going to get off that one, but you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm saying, great. If you don't worry about it. It's all good. But I really feel like we need to focus on what's important. And that's one thing I really want to encourage you to do this year. Is focus on you. Focus on your art. Because when you're doing this, you're happier. And when you're happier, you're nicer to be around. When you're nicer to be around, you're going to make a positive difference to people that you come in contact with in your life. And that's what it's about. I'm nicer to be around. Man, I'm a grump when I don't paint. Are you grumpy when you don't paint? Dude, I'm so grumpy when I don't paint. This just makes my day. When I don't paint, I don't get to hang out with you. I'm grumpy. Oh, it's awful. You don't want to see Tish grumpy. I do grumpy really well. Gary's got a question. Quick question. I got here late, but when you plein air paint, do you often take a photo so you can adjust it while you get back to your studio? Yeah, so I take plenty of reference while I'm out there plein air painting, and I've got the painting, and often things happen. So I'm gonna be stay tuned, Gary, for the plein air video that's coming out. Hopefully coming out today. I've got to touch base with Olivia and see if it's going to be ready today. Hopefully it is. Really pushing to try and get that ready. But stay tuned, because there's the first demo is a place called Lake Marion. So this waterfall that I'm painting right now comes off of Lake Marion. And yeah, it's the light changed over the course of that demonstration. And at the end, there was the coolest thing happening with the light. I'm not going to be going with the light that I started with in the plein air painting. When I go to paint it bigger, I'm going to choose this really epic low angle light that just grazes across the face of this mountain, shows off the character. There's like epic sun rays that are bursting through the scene. And dude, it just lit up, and some crazy reflections on the water. It's just the coolest thing. It looks like a beer stop. It's straight up, it looks like a beer stop. And that's part of what I wanted to put into the demo when I go to paint the big one, is like, keep doing the master analysis, but start putting that in what I do, you know, for my tutorials. Coolest thing ever, man. Coolest thing ever. Good question, Gary. I'm just coming into the chat now. One swipe and you just did that rock blended 3 colors. Wow. In a good way? In a good way, Alicia? Please tell me in a good way. I couldn't stand it if you weren't happy with what I'm doing here. You got to be happy. I mean, I'm kidding myself. This rock is going to need a little bit of detail, but dude, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. Yeah, I'm going to keep going for even a few more minutes. So if you got to go, you got to go. That's cool. But I'm just going to keep going. And if you're watching the replay, well, hey, you can just hit pause and go and make yourself a cup of coffee and come right back. That's cool too. But I said it was going to be 2 hours. But you know me. Don't I always give you more? Don't I? Come on. Like, yeah, Tish, but sometimes you miss a week. Okay. All right. You got me there. All right. You can allow me to just have a little bit of wishful thinking, can't you? Just a little. No? Okay. Keep it real, Tish. So just a little bit of this subtle, subdued, mossy color coming through. It's delicate the way I'm approaching it with the transparent yellow oxide. And Hansa yellow, man. Hansa yellow is where it's at. So both of these being very transparent yellows, you can gradually get that mustard green kind of stain on some of these rocks. Very reminiscent of the algae that's growing here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to work until my iPad runs out of battery. I'm on 3%. It's plugged in, but it says it's not charging. So I don't know what the go is there. I don't know why it's not charging. Being a jerk. Come on, get to it. But a few of these rocks that are in the foreground, we're going to get a bit of that algae and that moss. Yeah, I want to stop doing these, you know, like show you more, some more bigger and more finished work. So I got a few of these coming. Kimberly Waterfall, man, that's coming on. So we got part 3 coming out pretty soon. Last week I released the extended part of part 2. That was 1 hour and 20 minutes, I think it was. Or was it? Surely it was 1 hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that already, have a look at that. I've got plenty more painting content coming your way. But thank you for if you did see that. And thanks to everybody for their comments on those videos. Really appreciate that. Again, thank you so much. You really keep me going. You got to know that. The encouragement, it just means the world to me. The canvas can smell fear. I don't know what that's about, Therese, but I love that. That needs to go on a t-shirt. The canvas can smell fear. That's one way to get a complex about painting. Don't tell yourself that. The canvas is an inanimate object. It cannot smell your fear. You smell your fear. You're psyching yourself out there, dude. Art by Therese. Hansa Yellow is similar to cadmium lemon. Right. No. Wrong. No. It's not. It's very different, but it holds a similar color space, but it behaves very differently. I'm glad I'm using the Hansa Yellow because cadmium yellow here, in this case, cadmium lemon is a more or less a permanent fixture on my palette. I use it all the time, but it's incredibly opaque and it's very light. So when you add it to your colors, it can go pastel pretty quick if you're not careful. You have to really control that one. So I really am enjoying this Hansa Yellow. I've used it in portraits in the past. I used it for that portrait demo of Wayne, the dude with that amazing, glorious beard. You remember that guy? So he was fantastic sitter for a portrait. But I used that for some of the skin tones along with permanent crimson. In fact, this is a pretty similar palette to what I used for the portrait for Wayne. So if you like some of those skin tones, you'll be able to see what I did there and how I mixed those. But I digress. Hansa Yellow, similar color space, but because it's much more transparent than the cadmium lemon or cadmium yellow, I'm getting a much different mixing experience here with it. And I like the transparency because I'm keeping everything nice and dark. Everything's muted. Everything's subdued. That's where it's at. So let's get out. Now, okay, dark brush. Don't confuse your darks with your lights unless you've got a paper towel. Now, you see this paper towel, my little handy little booklet? That's getting a little bit full up, isn't it? Let's do something about it. Open it up. All right. Now, we open it up like this, and you look into that deeply and just let your eyes relax, and what do you see? No, I'm kidding. It looks like a Rorschach pattern, doesn't it? You spend time psychoanalyzing yourself based on what you see in your paper towels. Don't do that. All right, here. Let's wipe it off. I am going to use this brush again. I'm going to wipe it a few times until it's pretty much clean. Not going to bother me at all. I'm going to get out a little bit of my crimnets. I like to paint with crimnets, but it tastes kind of funny. If I can get the lid off, this lid is actually covered with paint, so I'm opening the tube up with a paper towel. There we go. These live streams are great because it shows how much we can get done in about 2 hours. Right on, John. Right on. We don't need long to paint. Like a lot of people would be like, ugh, I only got 2 hours. Might as well not even start. Oh, it's on Netflix. Yeah, no, you get into it. You got an hour, you got half an hour. So this is the other thing as well. Make sure your studio is ready to go. Get working right away. Make sure it's ready to go, man. I need a space I can just walk into that just commands creativity. Just boom, it just drags it out of you. I accidentally got a little bit too much of that permanent crimson in there, so I'm going to start my mix down here now. There we go. Just a little bit of a lighter color now. Let's start working through just the edge of the brush. Let's just start working through and getting a little bit of that foam. And it's cool as well because we can start blending it in with some of these other colors. That'd be neat. That'd be fun. We're just going to paint just a little bit of foam right there. And that would be our little secret right there. And if you tell anyone, no, I'm kidding. back in the day when I did watch TV. That was on a Family Guy episode. I remember just howling, laughing, just watching this Bob Ross parody. There's some good Bob Ross parodies out there. No disrespect to Bob Ross. I love Bob Ross. I think he's a man. He's cool. But you see how everything was very subdued and very muted with the color. So now, because we've been holding back with our tone, we can start lifting out little areas. We haven't even gotten to the top of the tonal range yet. Nowhere near. So I might actually, while I'm at it, get a... Do I have another eclipse? No, only the bigger ones. Okay, we'll use a bigger one all the same. That's all right. We'll use a bigger one. Brush this one off. And here, we can come back through with another eclipse and just blend slightly some of those marks. You will remove some of the paint, but a little bit of that warmth comes through, and that's kind of nice, isn't it? I like that. Starting to hear the water. That's nice to hear. I like that. I like that. That's fun. I'll tell you what, man, when I was standing in front of this waterfall just a few days ago, I couldn't hear anything. Just friggin' intense. But it was awesome. I probably stood there for about 10 minutes just photographing it. Just getting all these different details. Till I could find my one photo and copy it. Something I said I'd never do. Oh, he went and did it. No, it's actually pretty different from the photograph, but still. I'm painting. What have you done today? I think you know by now not to take me too seriously, right? Yeah, it's good. That's good. Some of the newbies are like, "What are you? What are you doing, man?" I thought you were, I'm here to be serious about art. That's what I'm here to do. And you're a Fruit Loop. Yeah, well, guilty. All right. So now we're starting to get a little bit lighter in tone. I'm just going to apply a few of these lighter marks, and I might even start mixing in a bit of warmth with some of that lighter tone. Don't want to get too light towards the edge of the panel there, but just a little bit. Gosh, I should have painted this plein air while I was there. That would have been cool. I was too fixed on getting up the hill to paint Lake Marion, but I should have put in a second sitting right there on that trail. Now there's some really beautiful, like almost teal foam that's getting whipped underneath the surface of that water. So I'm going to get out a bit more intensity with that cobalt teal, just a little bit more. And just work it into that edge. The beauty working like this in one layer, I won't finish it in this sitting, but the beauty of this is I can get some really nice alla prima kind of blended effects. Just working with my edges. Just breaking everything up into zones, just going zone to zone, edge to edge. Diane can hear me holding my breath while I paint. Yeah, maybe that's why I'm feeling a bit lightheaded and I'm getting a bit silly. It's because I'm holding my breath, Diane. Especially while I'm trying to concentrate. So I want to get some intensity of violet. You can make a really beautiful violet color with the ultramarine and permanent crimson. I'll play that off against some of the cobalt teal. Just put in a couple of those little marks here and there. I'm actually hitting the zone. You can probably hear He's not saying much. No, I'm getting into the zone. Took me a couple hours. So I reckon I need just a little bit. Oh, nearly dropped the brush. Need a bit of lighter tone here. And we'll start to add a few of these lighter notes just at the base of the waterfall. Get that nice dappled light there. Oh, Sam Earp did his live stream today. Oh, dude, I didn't catch his live stream. Oh, I'm gonna jump over there and have a look after this. Hopefully catch a replay. That's cool. Did he do that on YouTube, John, or did he do that through Patreon? Just 1 second, folks. I'm just going to check. I think my boy is starting to climb those stairs. Hey, guys. Sorry, folks, I'm back. All right, we need a bit of warmth to come through. Hansi yellow, just a touch. Just a touch of permanent crimson and white. Tonal best. For this session anyway. We can still go so much further than that. And you can see how we've started to cover the whole area of the palette. There's my original sketch color there though. All right, let me jump back into that chat. I just got here. Is your painting the one on the right or the left? Thanks, Ron. Funny. The right, Ron. That's cool. I like it. Oh, it's tricky getting that little glow there in the water. I might have to work a bit more on that later on when you're not distracting me so much. All right. Ron, I'm glad you're here. We were just talking about you. All right. Andrew Pugh, or I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Could you comment on how you approach the hard and soft edges when painting rocks? I've struggled with this in the past. Yeah, so depending on the form of the rock, most of the rocks here that I'm painting are actually naturally quite jagged and have quite hard edges. So it's something that you've just got to kind of watch. And in order to keep that sharpness, sometimes you want to think also about your negative and your positive space. So not just painting, you know, the rock itself, but painting around the rock and bringing the edges in. So I'm actually working the water up to that edge to create a bit of sharpness there. So that's something that's important to consider as well. But that's such a good question. But I will be including that. I'm talking about doing this huge friggin' tutorial, and a whole section on that. It's got to be about rocks. You could spend a lifetime just studying rocks and painting rocks. Painting rocks is hard. Shut up, painter. But also a lot of your rock work does come down to the type of light which shows off the characters. So when the light grazes across the surface and it forms these chibbly marks, that can be really effective in trying to create that sharpness or that roughness that you're going for. All right. Oh, we went a little bit further than I was thinking we would today. We got something in here. You can at least tell where the painting's going, I hope. I'm enjoying it so far. I've really enjoyed your company today. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hit the zone there in the end. You could probably hear that little shift in gears in my brain, holding my breath while I'm painting. But man, good fun. Good fun hanging out with you. Good fun painting. So if you've just shown up here at the end, the replay will be available today on my Patreon page. I'll go ahead and post that to the page. And you can watch that again, just like you can watch all the past live streams. If you're here watching this right now, that must mean that you're part of the third tier. You're one of my Acad homies on the Academy tier here on Patreon. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for your support. And I hope to just serve you to the maximum of my ability and just really get you the tools, the techniques, the tricks, the encouragement, the support, the inspiration, the motivation, what you need this year to take your paintings up to the next level, wherever you want to go. Now, remember, you can reach me anytime directly through the direct message app here on Patreon. So don't hesitate to get in touch if you need to. I've had a few requests for critiques. I am booked solid for critiques for the foreseeable future in terms of videos. It's very difficult for me to get to people individually, but go back and even watch some of those past critiques, but also get onto that Tish Zone Facebook page if you're not already. Go ahead and jump on over, send your request through, follow those verification steps so I can verify you, so you can be part of that group. That's open to anybody here that's following on my Patreon page. So I will post a link to that down below, and it would be great to see you over there. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here and go and get some lunch. It's lunchtime. I'm hungry. And then I'm going to get back to painting. And I'm feeling this waterfall, but I might even get onto painting that bigger waterfall and finishing that off. But yeah, good fun. There's so much further I could go with this one. I might just sneak in just a little bit more. Oh, just come on. I can't help myself. Just get a little bit more, just a little bit of light up in there. Just a touch. Got that beautiful dappled light through the trees, you know. Something else. And then even right there. Just a touch. Not too much, Tish. Not too much. I can't stop. I can't stop. Once you start, you can't stop. It's tricky, but I am so hungry. Green smoothie. That's me. That's going to fuel me for the afternoon. Oh, that's a nice little glow there. Isn't that a nice little glow? And I'm about to run out of battery on the camera. Oh, I might just be able to end this. Well, we've got just a little bit of battery on the camera. Let's zoom in here. There you go. So there's the painting. That's what we're able to do today on our little 8x10. Hopefully that's in focus. It doesn't quite look focused. But that was today's effort. So thank you again for spending this time with me here. I will be finishing this off, and no doubt I'll be sharing it with you here on Patreon. Let me just get that focused up. There we go. Ah, oh, good fun, good fun. So that would be a block, and we'll let that dry. I might add some details over the top, really get that light in there, really play up the texture of those rocks. Might tweak a few things with the composition, but get that forest in there with some of those nice little crispies that are catching the light there in the distance. Might keep that palette though. If I'm going to add some opacity, maybe that cadmium lemon can occupy that space there for some extra dimension to the violet, quinacridone, magenta as well. But yeah, I'm out. Good fun. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me. And I will see you again in the next video. Okay. Have a great day, guys. Thanks again.